Choice. Is it an inherent right or a terrifying illusion? Are we being manipulated by some grand scheme that has been concocted by the world's elites? Or do we truly have the freedom to choose who we are and the path we take? Or is it possible that the truth lies somewhere in the middle? Join me today as we talk about the corrupt world of metaphor ReFantazio. To start, I think it's important to give an overview of what the world of metaphor will be thrusting us into. The game takes place in the United Kingdom of Euchronia, a land ruled by a monarchy that's thrown into chaos and unrest after the assassination of the king. But in a twist of fate that was surely a surprise to the king's killer, something known as the royal magic is triggered, which is that giant Majora's Mask looking moon in the sky. And it sets the rule that based on an individual's popularity amongst the citizens of the kingdom, that will determine who is to be the next king. What a wrench that must have thrown into the plans of anyone trying to stage a coup, right? I mean, what could be worse for the people who are trying to take hold of the government than a giant magical force that is, for all intents and purposes, forcing them to have a free and open election to determine who the next king of the realm is. Unless that's exactly what they wanted. In reality, during the events of the game, I don't think that this is going to be a problem for whomever took the life of the king at all. In fact, what if this royal magic wasn't as secret as it has been made out to us to seem, and is actually the desired outcome of the assassin who, if I had to take a guess, is likely a high-ranking member of the kingdom's elites, with the trailers heavily alluding to it being this dashing man from the Clemar tribe. Though in his case, I think this is probably intentional misdirection on the trailer's part, and he actually gives me the vibe of someone who will become an ally by the end of the game. But I don't quite have enough to back that theory up yet, so I digress. But seriously, who would stand to benefit the most from the death of a king who supposedly has no heir because the entire kingdom already believes the cursed prince to be dead? The answer is other elites who are already at the top of the food chain. I mean, just think about it. They already have so much more reach and power than your common citizen. So what if they planned this crisis to send people into a panic so that they can propose their solution, namely the royal tournament, to win over the public to feel as though they have autonomy over the choice of who the next king is. All the while, these elites are doing everything they can to pull the strings and manipulate this election so that it will have a favorable outcome for them and their interests, while making sure that the public believes that this was their choice all along and they are electing the people's champion. I mean, let's be honest. It's not really an outlandish theory to say that the government wants to control everything, even the way the people of Euchronia think. But if this idea that the government is controlling the elections and how we all think and what the people of Euchronia are doing sounds like some crazed conspiracy theory that you would see on an unhinged news network, then you wouldn't be wrong. I almost feel like it was too obvious as I was beginning to go down this rabbit hole, until I stumbled across this meme that says it's called Hegelian Dialectic. A government will create a crisis to elicit a desired reaction from the public and then present a pre-planned solution that furthers its political agenda. Now, I want to start by saying I understand that this isn't what Hegelian Dialectic actually is. It is so common for people to misrepresent or twist ideas like Hegelian dialectic in our society as a way to instill fear into the masses while attempting to sound intellectual in the process. Now, if you haven't watched my last video on metaphor ReFantazio, you should definitely go do that after you finish watching this one. But in that video, I discuss how Atlus is using Hegelian dialectic as a literal gameplay mechanic. Now, to go over it again, Hegelian dialectic, if you aren't familiar, focuses on the idea of thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. Instead of trying in vain to find indisputable truths, Hegel wanted to use the system he had created to replace old ideas with new and more sophisticated ones. Within Hegelian dialectic, a thesis represents the status quo. The antithesis is what challenges this status quo and helps to pinpoint any shortcomings or problems with the initial thesis, and the the synthesis is the revised thesis that has taken into account any of the gaps in logic from the original thesis that have been uncovered by the antithesis, leaving you, theoretically, with a stronger and more well thought out idea. Now, the use of this as a gameplay mechanic in the game is really cool, because I would be willing to bet that this synthesis system is how you can unlock and learn how to grow and develop your archetypes in combat prowess, and potentially even unlock more archetypes based on the relationships you have and develop with your followers. This idea of using Hegelian dialectic to have a viewpoint that consistently gets challenged in order to ultimately strengthen yourself and your understanding of the world and the people around you lies in stark contrast with how Hegelian dialectic can be described in many circles in which conspiracies abound, just like is shown in that meme. And I think that the Redditor, Voderoni, articulated it best when they said that this false or manipulated version of Hegelian dialectic does not look at thesis, antithesis, and synthesis, but instead individuals with an agenda introduce a problem, the public reacts, and then the people in power propose a solution that ultimately serves their agenda. I feel very confident that Atlus knows about this bastardization of Hegel's ideas and is going to create a narrative dichotomy between our protagonist, who's only really attempting to become king in order to save his cursed friend the prince, versus the people in power who want nothing more than to manipulate the populace into seeing and supporting what they want. With the death of the king, the intention is to create a spectacle to mask the fact that they are burning books. Text is being redacted, information is being stifled, and imagination, which has been confirmed to be the source of this world's magic, is slowly dying out, with people now needing to use magical tools to even be able to produce and utilize that magic. The best way to control someone is to appeal to their emotions, and fear is an incredibly motivating factor when making decisions. If your country has been fully destabilized by the loss of your leader, and there's this horrific looking moon looming over you day and night, who would you be more inclined to support just on a knee-jerk basis? Some young upstart from a loathed tribe that the state religion has labeled as tainted and possesses dangerous and heretical magic, who happens to be friends with the prince that, to your understanding, is already dead, a fact that also wouldn't likely have been widely shared with the populace, or a tried and tested leader from a respected tribe like the Clemar tribe or the Rogu tribe, who tend to be the ones in power anyways. So they certainly know how to right the ship and make sure that the United Kingdom of Euchronia is set on a good path again, or maybe just a comfortable one. It'll be interesting to see how we as the protagonists will be able to convince the peoples of Euchronia to side with us in this election, as opposed to falling victim to these figureheads who are really staging a coup that's disguised as a glorious tournament. And throughout all of this, how will we be able to use Hegelian dialectic to be able to help ourselves grow and develop and garner the strength of different archetypes and truly understand our followers? And how we will utilize true Hegelian dialectic to stand up to its twisted, bastardized counterpart when attempting to garner the people's support. What will be superior? Imagination, authenticity, and a desire to help a friend, or deception, fear, and the intentional and knowing destruction of knowledge to make sure that the peoples of this kingdom are kept in the dark, and they are less and less likely and able to fight back as time goes on? Well, I suppose we'll have to wait until the next trailer comes out to see. But that'll do it for this week's video, guys, and I want to pass the question off to you. Do you like these more theory-esque kind of videos? And what are you most excited to learn about in Metaphor ReFantazio in the next trailer? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. And while you're at it, make sure to share this video if you enjoyed it wherever you like sharing things, because honestly, that is what helps these videos gain traction more than anything. So please, please, please do that, because it is beyond appreciated. And if you really like these videos and want to show any additional support, check out the Patreon, because links to that are in the description down below. As always, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, a fantastic rest of your week, and why not even a fantastic rest of your month, and I will see you in the next video. Later.